We are being born into toxicity. Most of the modern day health issues, the root cause is the toxicity in the environment. Heavy metals, chemicals, electromagnetic fields. We are in a swamp of toxicity. And when our environment is toxic, our body becomes congested with toxicity and the body starts to malfunction. Our bodies are self-healing mechanisms. We fall over and cut our knee. We don't need to tell our knee how to heal. The body knows. The body is part of innate intelligence. The body knows what to do. However, the reason why we're getting these issues today is because the body is a self-healing mechanism given the right environment. And humans are now living in an environment very different to what we are genetically wired to live in. Our body cannot do what it needs to do to stay healthy. So really, the root cause is toxicity. There's many things that make us healthy in order to go out into the world and achieve our goals. But the pillar that no one's looking at right now is the pillar of detoxification. I view health on so many levels, connection to source, connection to oneself, how you feel about yourself, how you are in your own community and environment. Being healthy is being in a body that is fully functional and you feel good within yourself, and not just your body, but your mental state as well. There's a really strong connection between our guts and our brains. So feeling good within yourself.
So much of my work is in the mental health, emotional health, and even our energetic health paradigms. Mental health issues are on the rise. There's just this pandemic around loneliness and people just feeling disconnected from themselves, from other. And I know in my personal journey, I spent so many years of my life thinking something was wrong with me.
Welcome to It's Not What You Think, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey to rewrite your story of greatness and reawaken your soul's purpose. I'm your host, Celine DaCosta, a subconscious mind expert, master coach, and believer in the limitless power and magic that lives within all of us. My intention in this podcast is to propel you into your next level of success so that you are free to create the life that your heart most desires. Through deep, actionable insights, personal stories, and world-class guests, I'll provide you with the tools, strategies, and resources you need to unlock the fullest expression of who you're meant to be in this lifetime, so that you can consciously design a reality that is beyond what you could have ever dreamed of. Join me on this journey to personal growth and evolution, and let's live our lives in accordance with our highest soul's calling. This podcast is your weekly check-in to help this path become more simple, obtainable, and fun. Thank you for tuning in today, and now let's dive in.
Hello, soul family. Welcome back to another episode of It's Not What You Think. Today, I have with me a detoxification expert, Adam Parker, and we are going to go deep, deep, deep into the rabbit hole of health. Adam, welcome.
Celine, thank you ever so much. Absolute pleasure connecting with you.
So me too. So a little story about how I met Adam, because, I actually just recently met Adam. He's a new friend. And we were connected through one of my best friends, William. We have this mutual friend, and I was talking to William about my my health journey this year. I have shared in some posts online, and also here and there on the podcast, that I was recently diagnosed with Lyme disease as well as Bartonella, barbosis. It's just tick-borne illnesses, essentially. And I've been on the path of really healing my body from these things. And just the past couple of years have been a huge initiation for me around the importance of our physicality when it comes to our just life journey as well as spiritual journey. And even with a couple of years ago, when I had gotten really, really bad staph infections on my legs, and there was like a whole initiation around then, doing a gut detox, a gut reset. And now this, I am developing such a profound appreciation for what it actually means to be healthy in the modern world, and also noticing how difficult, like, at least when you don't know what Adam's about to share with you, it can feel really hard and challenging and like a whole other project in and of itself to just stay on top of our health. So I got connected to Adam, and we were talking about this, and it was just a casual conversation. I was sharing with him around what I've been learning around health and the ways that I have been working really hard to optimize my health. And he just blew me away with his wealth of information and really helping me understand these topics that I had already read about and studied and listened to the podcast. But the way he explains this, it's so digestible. And that's why I'm super excited to have him on today so that we can have a serious talk about our health. If you're listening to this and you're having some health issues, or if you're a perfectly healthy person, you're going to want to listen to this anyways, because this is not about a conversation about curing disease. It's a conversation about how we can maintain health, we can prevent disease, how we can optimize ourselves so we can truly just have the most full life in this physical vessel. So as I mentioned, Adam is a detoxification expert. He's an international speaker, and he's the host of the Ideal Day podcast. So Adam, without further ado, I'm going to turn over to you to more formally introduce yourself and your journey with understanding and cracking the code of health.
Cracking the code of health. So Celine, thank you for that lovely introduction. And yeah, it was great to connect with you. We connected via Will, who's also a dear friend of mine as well. And this just felt right. We were just talking and you were like, we need to have a podcast. I was like, yes, let's do it. So really happy to be connected with you and really to share this information with your listeners, because here's the deal. This information is not readily available, right? There's a lot of information out there in social media land about this is toxic and that's toxic and this is killing you. And so there's a lot of like fear health porn going on, right? Mm-hmm. But there's not a lot on, well, what do I actually do to mitigate these challenges? And actually something that is rather something that can work with my schedule and my lifestyle, right? And that's the challenge that I see a lot. So yes, I'm a detoxification expert and coach, which again is quite a new thing. There's not many of us out there. The information that I know, there's no school to learn this stuff. It's been learned really through just life experience, trial and error myself, and then the hundreds of clients that I've worked with. And really what I do is take business owners, entrepreneurs through a process of cleansing, so essentially they can hit the goals that they want to hit. What we tend to find, and I had this with my journey, we're so dialed in on our mission, right? And we're looking for those optimizations of what a perfect example. One of my clients, he only eats Deliveroo food or Uber Eats or whatever, because that's the most optimal way. I don't have to cook, I don't have to clean, I don't have to buy. I can just press and order and it's done, which is an amazing way to optimize. But what it's done is it's created a whole host of health issues downstream, poor gut health and loads of other things. So the entrepreneurs of the world, the business owners, we're all about optimizing our lifestyles. But the reality is a lot of those optimizations can cause issues downstream with our health due to the environment that we live in. So I empower these individuals on really giving them the blueprint on how to be healthy in the modern world. Because honestly, if you just subscribe to what is quoted normal, you are destined to get sick. And I know that sounds quite dramatic, but I'm telling you, it's true. If you look at the statistics of, okay, I'll drop some knowledge bombs for you here. So just to show you how toxic the world is, and if we don't proactively look at mitigating these toxins, we're going to have issues downstream. So, for example, the Environmental Working Group, they're based in the US. They did a study. Now, this was in 2004, so this is 20 years ago. They tested the blood of the umbilical cord. So basically the blood in babies, right? They tested the blood of the umbilical cord for 400 different chemicals, and 287 tested positive. So we are being born into toxicity. And really what I want to put across to the audience here is most of, and I would say all, but we'll label it as most for now. Most of the modern day health issues, the root cause is the toxicity in the environment. Heavy metals, chemicals, electromagnetic fields. We are in a swamp of toxicity. And when our environment is toxic, our body becomes congested with toxicity and the body starts to malfunction. The final thing I'll say, and I'll hand it back, our bodies are self-healing mechanisms. We don't need to tell, if we like fall over and cut our knee, we don't need to tell our knee how to heal. The body knows, the body is part of innate intelligence. The body knows what to do. However, the reason why we're getting these issues today is because the body is a self-healing mechanism given the right environment. And our humans are now living in an environment very different to what we are genetically wired to live in. Go back 200,000-300,000 years ago, our hunter-gatherer ancestors were the same genetically. Our environment has completely changed. That creates an environment where our body cannot do what it needs to do to stay healthy. So really, the root cause is toxicity. Detoxification is the answer. And I also want to stress, it's not the only thing. Like, these health coach gurus say it's your low dose this, or it's all about magnesium. There's many things to health. There's connection to gods, there's community, there's nutrition, there's sleep. There's many things that make us healthy in order to go out into the world and achieve our goals. But the pillar that no one's looking at right now is the pillar of detoxification. And in the world we live in, it's definitely something that we need to have strategies that we implement in our daily lives to keep us essentially cleansed so our body can do what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thank you for that introduction. And, when we are about to dive into a topic that is all about, for example, in this case, detoxification, I feel it's really important to, because we all have our own definitions of what health is, what's detoxification, what are toxins, what's the, like I have my definition, you have your definition, and everything in between, right? So how I'd love to start is if you can define what health means to you, like in the context of this conversation, when we talk about health, what are we talking about? And when we talk about toxins, what are we talking about? And when we are talking about detoxing, what are we talking about? So we can all have clear communication with each other and everybody's on the same page as we start to dive deeper into this topic.
Yeah. Great question. Okay, health. What is health to me? So I view health on so many levels, connection to source, connection to oneself, how you feel about yourself, how you are in your own community and environment. But in general, health is living life and in a vessel, your body, where everything is working as it should. And you'll know this, Celine, so much of life, we're programmed from the day we were born. There's layers and centuries of programming from whatever culture you're from. And it's so easy for us to think, oh, well, I'm a certain age and that's normal to, I'm old and I should feel like that. And it really isn't. Like, if you understand how to be healthy, you don't have to deal with all of the modern day ailments. For example, when you get old, it might be you have sore joints and some type of chronic disease. But young, I mean, it's normal to have anxiety, right? It's normal to have digestive issues. It's normal to have random skin things going on. Like, it's seen as normal now, and it doesn't have to be that way. So being healthy is being in a body that is fully functional and you feel good within yourself, and not just your body, but your mental state as well. There's a really strong connection between our guts and our brains. So feeling good within yourself, I think, is also important. Like having a spring in your step. I recall before I got sick, so I'm 40 years old. I got sick when I was 31. And when the Steve Jobs quote, you go connect the dots, looking back, you can't do it moving forward. When I look back at my life pre getting unwell, I had a very negative filter in how I viewed the world. I was very kind of nervous and, always thinking about the worst outcome. And I just thought that's how life is. And I didn't realize until I correctly cleansed my body of the toxins I'd accumulated since I was born, my mindset even changed. I'm now like, everything's awesome. Like, my default setting is everything is going to work out amazing. And that was a process of cleansing. And I didn't realize how impactful toxins impact not only digestion, but your mindset, your body, the whole thing. So health to me is just really functioning on an optimal level. What was the next definition you wanted me to give you, Celine?
Toxins. What are
Toxins. So toxins, so when we think about toxins can be many things. That there can be toxic people. right? That, because essentially everything in this universe is vibration, right? So in theory, toxins could be toxic people and that side of things. But when we talk about the body and how it functions, toxins are really anything that impedes the body from doing what it needs to do. So the main headline toxins in our world, and that we'll jump into, are chemicals, heavy metals, and electromagnetic fields. They're the headline items that we are all exposed to. No one can opt out of. Do you know what? I don't want to be exposed to heavy metals. No, you can't opt out. It's everywhere. It's in the air you're breathing right now. It's in the water we drink, in our food, etc. So they're the main headline toxins. Or I mean, EMFs aren't even physical. You can't smell, taste, or touch them. They're just in the atmosphere. But they're the main ones in our environment today that are causing issues. And then the thing was detox. So detoxification is the natural process of the body to keep balance within the body. The body is always looking for equilibrium. So, like I said, you cut your knee, the body is looking, that's a knee out of balance. The body is looking to get you back to balance, so to heal the knee. So the body is constantly trying to bring you back to your equilibrium. Now, that means we're always detoxing. We're sweating, we're pooping, we're peeing. Like we are naturally detoxing all the time. Even through our breath, we're detoxing. And when we think about this topic of, right, I'm going to do a cleanse, I'm going to detox, we are aiding in that process, because the world we now live in, the amount of toxins coming in to our bodies is more than we are removing. So obviously there's a delta, there's an accumulation that takes place over years and years and years. There's a difference between acute exposure and chronic exposure. So we know the analogy. So we know smoking is bad, right? We know that. And I would argue it's primarily because of the chemicals they put in the smoke, not the tobacco, but that's another conversation. However, we know smoking's bad. We know one cigarette won't kill you. But we know smoking over years and years and years and years will manifest in disease. So that is a disease that comes through chronic exposure. An acute exposure to something might be food poisoning. You eat it and you're like, oh my goodness, and that's you're poisoned essentially, and your body wants to get it out of you. So what we're now dealing with in our environment is we have these connotations in culture that I don't drink, I don't smoke, because ultimately, let's just distill what they are. They are poisons, right? And if you had them every day, they accumulate. However, we don't. So as a result, they have negative connotations, right? Drinking, smoking, oh, it's bad. There's no negative connotation for the deodorant you're putting on, the makeup you're using, the plastic Tupperware you're eating out of, the Teflon pan you're cooking with, the beautiful air freshener that sprays out endocrine disrupting smells every 30 minutes, your phone in your pockets. There's no connotation on that chronic exposure causing issues, but the science and the data, it's beyond doubt that all of these different multiple touch points of all these different toxins, and again we summarize them as heavy metals, chemicals, and EMFs, and we can jump into what they are on an individual level. It's that chronic exposure of all of these different touch points that then manifests in our modern day health ailments, digestive issues, anxiety, low energy, fatigue. And that's like really the start point, because I think that's really what a lot of entrepreneurs are dealing with. And it's blocking them from getting to them hitting their goal and achieving what they need to do to impact the world. Mm-hmm. But that kind of left then manifests into the bigger diseases that we see further down the line. So detox, we're forever doing it. But when we think about this conversation, it's around what can we do to proactively help our bodies in that process? Because as I said, there's more coming in than there is going out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you. So there's a few things you said in this share that feel really important to pull on the threads of. One of the things you said that really stood out to me was that we are born into toxicity. Mm-hmm. And honestly, There's so many levels, like in that sentence. I'll have to admit that as I heard that, I felt this despair in my heart, which
Mm,
we'll unpack it. And I know I would like this episode is not supposed to be a doomsday
mhm,
situation. Like we're going to be offering solutions. We're going to be unpacking what we can
mhm.
do about it. And I wouldn't be authentic if I didn't also speak into that like contraction in my heart of, oh my gosh, if we start this way, we're doomed.
Yeah. Mm,
If we're already born with all this crap in our body and our little tiny body doesn't know how to expel it at the rate at which we're like taking it in, what do we
yeah.
do? And the second thing
Mm,
it brought up for me is also the topic around mental health. And what I'm
yeah.
noticing, because I so much of my work is in the mental health, emotional health, and
Mm,
even energetic health paradigms. It's like where I work with people, and I am noticing there's just this like mental health issues are on the rise. There's just this
yeah.
pandemic around loneliness and people just feeling disconnected from themselves, from other. And I know in my personal journey, I spent so many years of my life thinking something was wrong with me, thinking
Yeah.
like not understanding like what's my problem until I
Mm,
started to, through my own spiritual journey, started to unpack and my unconscious and really look at the deeper layers underneath and realizing, wow, I was not set up for success when it
mm,
comes to societal conditioning, what I was taught to believe, the
mhm,
ways I was taught to value myself as a woman, as a
mm,
Latina, as an immigrant, like all those layers and layers of conditioning that we have depending on where we grew up and how.
yeah.
But as it relates to health, like I've noticed this, I even had this big aha moment recently
Mm,
where when I was diagnosed to with these, with these things, and also we looked at my history, and apparently I had mono when I was a teenager. I didn't even know I had it,
mhm,
and I remember I was shaming myself because I sleep a lot of hours, I like 9 to 10 hours, and for years I've been like, what's my problem? What's wrong with me? Like trying to wake up at a certain time, not being able to make it, then shaming myself because I woke up late and the early bird didn't get the worm, and all the conditioning around being an entrepreneur and needing to wake up early and do like 1,000 things before 10 a.m. I had this like really powerful moment where I realized, wow, there's a physicality. There is something. It's like it's not just about mindset work and
yeah.
energy clearing and like feeling my feelings.
Mm,
Like I'm doing all those things, and like there is something that is literally happening with my physical structure that needs to be looked at, and I just didn't have the
mhm,
tools, the knowledge, or the understanding to be able to help myself through that. So I
yeah.
know that was like I just threw a really big load of a lot of thoughts at you,
Mm,
but I guess what I would love your thoughts on is this yeah, if anyone else is also listening, being like, yeah, I feel the despair of being born into toxicity as well. Can you just
mm,
soothe our souls, speak into that, maybe help us see a light at the end of the tunnel, which I'm sure
yeah,
this
yeah.
entire conversation will illuminate, as
Mm,
well as speak into this, yeah, this uh, paradigm of people, us as entrepreneurs or just as humans, like even
mm,
forget entrepreneurships, thinking there's something wrong with us because
mhm,
we're depressed or because like you're saying, like I'm in a bad mood all the time,
yeah.
and how sometimes it literally, even when I think about sometimes when I'm sleep deprived, I'm not nice. I need to go to
Mhm,
bed and I'm not
mhm,
going to be nice until I wake up with my sleep,
yeah.
and I
Mhm,
that's just sleep. That's not even like disease, chronic illness, anything like that.
mm,
So I totally can see how it affects literally our ability to function, to relate, to be
yeah.
who we're here to be. So, anyways, that was my whole. Hopefully, you can take this entire bouquet of stuff that I've just created. Let's make some meaning out of it.
Thank you. I received that. So, yes, what I'm saying, you could, again, everything, again, another one of our mental faculties is perception. And, us saying, me saying everything's toxic, right? And it's true. But here's the thing, we can either take that as fear or we can take that as, okay, this is an opportunity to level up and to educate myself. And then to take that information forward and empower others, empower my family, my friends, my community. So let's put it into context. I'm 40 years old. I turned 40 in June. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm healthier now than I was when I was in my 20s. I know that for a fact. I feel it because I know this knowledge, and I again implement the tools that we can talk about as we move forwards. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. And ultimately, your listeners, I'm sure, are all about owning it and taking responsibility, etc. And once you know better, you do better. So I think that's the first step. Yes, it can be scary, but ultimately when you have the tools, and it's not like transforming your life. It's just understanding how the body works and implementing different strategies. So I'm on what I call maintenance mode, right? So I'm not going through cleanses. However, I do things every day, every week that take me no time, and it keeps me in tip-top shape. So there is hope, there is light. We have to, again, what's the Charles Dickens saying? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. For me, it's always the best of times. There's the knowledge out there, and once you know how to do things, really, it's insanely empowering. Jumping into the whole mental health thing. So yes, mental health is skyrocketing. And here's the thing. I remember when I was going through my journey, so 31 years old, so this is 10 years ago, mental health wasn't yet, the narrative wasn't yet there for mental health. Do you know, like, things bubble, and then when it's so obvious that the media have to talk about it, then it becomes a thing, and then it gets flipped into like charities and messages, and people can like hang their identity on set. Like, none of that around mental health was happening. So I was getting anxiety, and I didn't even know what that was. The first thing I thought was, am I going insane? That's the first thing I thought, because I was like, all of a sudden, I can't look people in the eye. All of a sudden, I'm getting like, I was like a front of house, relationship manager, sales kind of character. I was out schmoozing, doing the thing. Then all of a sudden, I can't do it anymore. So, I mean, not only did I have a crisis of identity, because all of a sudden my life was taken, like who I defined myself as wasn't showing up anymore. So again, that can cause mental health issues. So with mental health in general, there's many areas or pillars around what could be causing it. It could be connection to spirit and doing the inner work, hugely important. It could be our relationship to our technology. Like, there's a reason why. I mean, I was in the gym this morning, and I was lifting, and then you take a break, and I kind of scour the scene, and everyone's just on their phones. And I make a conscious effort not to take my phone. I used to like, again, entrepreneurial optimization. I'm in the gym, I've got the podcast in, I'm optimizing my whole, like, I'm in like learning, and I'm lifting. That was me. And now I realize, no, I need to be present and just be within myself. And that was a process I kind of went through, where I'm kind of moving away from technology. But anyway, pillars, spiritual connection and doing the inner work. We've got our technology, relationship with our technology can cause huge issues with mental health. Gut health, again, which leads into detox, because you have to heal and seal the gut when you're going through a detox. Our guts are completely ruined today. We know of the term leaky guts, and basically, when you've got leaky guts, the gut-brain connection, all disease starts in the gut, is the famous saying from Socrates. So a lot of us have leaky gut today due to processed foods, seed oils, the glyphosate, all of the chemicals in our food, drinking toxic water. Like, the whole system is designed, again, not to be doom and gloom. You can mitigate it, but if you just tap in as a normal consumer, you will sooner rather than later have gut issues, unless you've got insane levels of. So again, gut issues, again, not to go down too many rabbit holes, but it's all about your constitution. So if you were born natural birth, so born vaginally, and you got all the mum's good bacteria, then you were breastfed for 2 years, you didn't have any antibiotics or any other medical procedures as a kid, and you grew up in a nice environment, you will have very robust gut health. I've got a friend who was breastfed till he was 4 years old, and I don't know how we got into this conversation, but he was like, mate, I never get, my gut is bulletproof, because he was inoculated. Whereas, say you were born C-section, and then you were breastfed, and then you were on antibiotics, then you went and moved into a city, and then you grew up just eating Deliveroo. You can see the difference in why people get sick sooner than others. But ultimately, if you just opt into that type of living, eventually it's going to catch up with you. So there's many different areas around why we get anxious. And then the other pillar is around detox or toxins, and essentially the accumulation of these fat-soluble toxins. So we talk about heavy metals and chemicals. So heavy metals, things like lead, mercury, aluminium, chemicals, parabens, phthalates, BPAs, forever chemicals. We can jump into what they all do. They all basically don't do anything good for the body. And they accumulate in our body over years and years and years, this chronic accumulation. And when that happens, it impacts all of our different bodily systems, our endocrine systems, our metabolism, our respiratory systems, everything. That all systems are impacted. So what we tend to find is systems that you would relate to mental health are impacted. So your gut gets impacted. Also, your ability to process certain hormones out of the body. So when I was at my peak of like, I'm really unwell, I couldn't drive a car. Now, I've driven cars since I was 17. I've never had a crash. I love driving. It's liberating. If my wife says to me, Adam, like if our son isn't sleeping, stick him in the car on the motorway, he'll sleep. If she says, go take him for a drive, I'll do it. I love driving. I just love being on the road. But during the period of where I was unwell, I couldn't do it. The anxiety was crazy. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling anxious. I just can't do it. And really, that was down to my liver and my liver unable to methylate, amongst many other things. And we can do all these different DNA tests and see all these different SNPs, like MTHFR and COMT and all these different pathways. But essentially, when the liver's congested, it cannot break down. So as hormones get created, they also break down. Amongst many other things, the liver does over 500 different functions. So my body, again, was imbalanced, and I wasn't able to process toxins and excess hormones and all of that other stuff as I would normally want to. And that manifested in whenever I was in a really, like, you've got to focus when you're driving, especially on a motorway, I would just have a kind of mini panic attack and go crazy. So again, that's another pillar of the whole mental health epidemic, is our bodies aren't functioning. And again, everything is connected. Our minds, our spirits are all connected to the body. Everything is one. So when the body, the physicality is imbalanced, that then brings imbalances in how we think, how we feel. So again, there's no one thing for the mental health challenges, but healing the vessel. If you look at all religious texts, most of them talk about the body as the temple. Most of them, right? I know that's definitely from the Bible, but there's some kind of copy around look after your body, right? Because it's quite important. And really, this is what detox is about. It's about looking after the vessel. And I think things that, the work that you do with the inner work, just as important. But the cleaning of the vessel, there's no real information out there right now, right? It's like everything's going to kill you, but what do we actually do? And that's where I try and fill the gap.
Well, I love that you asked that question, because my next question was going to be, what do we actually do? Because, there's all of this information out there, and there's, like you said, there's so many pathways, there's so many things, and everything's going to kill you, like all the things. Yeah. So in the light of all of it, I'm curious to know, like, if you were to share with us, okay, now we know we're born into toxicity, and these are all the toxins that are affecting us, and it's important for us to detox our body so that we can get back into balance, equilibrium, homeostasis, and to be able to lead like healthy lives. Because what that will also do for us, it will create mental clarity. We will obviously feel good in our bodies. It creates more emotional stability. Like, it's all connected with how we feel and how we are. So if we were to kind of look at this big category called health looming in front of us for the modern day person, it's like question marks. This is really big. What do I do? So I'm going to revert that question back to you for you to answer it. Is what do we do? Like how do we make this really big feat digestible so we can actually start doing something about this?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, it comes with the mindset of, when you know better, you do better, right? So a lot of us have to unlearn a lot of things and relearn new ways of living. And that doesn't mean it's inconvenient. That doesn't mean it's going to take away from your mission. It's just, we've got to switch things up, because we're not living in the same world that we lived in even when we were kids. Like, it's a different game, right? Different game, different, complete different world we live in. So there's two kind of ways to look at it. So for me, I'm what I call maintenance mode, right? I do things every day to keep me in a really good spot. And I've gone through a process of removing that backlog of toxicity that I've really started accumulating since birth. Now, I'm still accumulating toxins every single day. That doesn't stop. However, I do things to minimize what's coming in, and then I'm always doing maintenance. So that's one side of things. But let's look at, well, okay, I'm not there, but I want to get there. So what do we do? So the first thing I always say is your external environment reflects everything's a mirror, yin, yang, so above, so below. So your external environment will be a reflection of your internal environment and vice versa. So if you're living in a swamp of crap, sooner or later, your internal environment is going to reflect that. So the first thing to do is to start to make smarter choices on what is in your external environment. So this, and the good news is this is these are what one-time changes, and once they're done, right? So, okay, chemicals, heavy metals, EMFs. So if we look at EMFs, for example, ubiquitous, they're everywhere. I mean, they are literally, we are in a swamp of EMFs. So we can have certain habits with our phone and our smart devices. Very top line, distance is our friends. So just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And I say that because having your phone in your pockets or people with the smartwatches, same sort of thing. Our phones are emitting non-native electromagnetic fields, which essentially impact so many of our different bodily systems, puts us into sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight. It disrupts a lot of our cellular functioning. So just by having distance, we can mitigate a lot of that. So I haven't had my phone in my pocket for years. And if I have to, because there's no other option, it'll be on flight mode, bare minimum. So having distance is really important. You can buy some really good EMF protection devices. ARS Tech is great. You can buy some home devices like Blue Shield. There's loads of great EMF mitigation devices that you can tap into. So that's some things to do with EMF. We also want to look at what we are putting on our skin, what are our personal care products. So basically, what are we ingesting? So we're ingesting anything you put on your skin. Essentially, you're eating it, right? So think about it. Would you squirt a load of sun cream in your hand and eat it? You'd be like, no, that's gross. Same deal if you're putting it on your skin. It absorbs into the system. So swapping out personal care products, and that can take time because we like our shampoos or we like our deodorants. So it takes a bit of time. The good news is there are so many challenger brands today that are delivering cool brands that are toxin-free using natural ingredients that you can swap out. And a lot of them are on Amazon. So they're all on Instagram. So you can start making smarter choices. For example, fluoride is a huge neurotoxin. And again, that might challenge some people because they might be like, no, it's good for my teeth. Look at the science. It ain't. It is really not good for you. So you can buy, a brand like Dr. Bronner, which is fluoride free. It's natural. It's like all natural organic ingredients. Use that as toothpaste, for example. So changing personal care products, looking at our cookware. So again, cooking with Teflon is not good because the chemicals in Teflon are PFAs, forever chemicals. If anyone's interested in what PFAs do to the body, check out a film called Dark Waters. Get it on Amazon. It's a true story. It'll blow your mind. Check that one out. It's a great watch. Very top line. It's about how DuPont were poisoning a local community, and they all, for over like a 40-year stretch, were getting cancers and dying because these chemicals, which are PFAs, which are found everywhere today, they haven't gone away, were slowly that accumulation, that chronic exposure. So changing out how we store our food, how we cook our food. So these are all one-time swaps, and once you've done them, they're done. A big one is the food we eat. So again, making smart choices on eating organic. Organic has more minerals, and also if we start investing in going to farmers markets or just ordering it online, it normally comes with less wrapping and packaging. So making smart choices on the food, and a big one is the water you are drinking. If you don't have a filter or some purification for your water, then your liver becomes a filter. And we can definitely jump into liver health. It is the master control station of detox, amongst other things. So really dialing in on water. Now, again, we want convenience. Tap water is in my opinion, straight up poison. Chemicals, microplastics, heavy metals, everything's in there at micro dose levels. Then it's like, okay, cool. Well, I'll go grab a bottled water from the store. The bottled water will be full of, again, microplastics and BPAs. So just having a good strategy with water. So, I recommend a distiller. You get reverse osmosis, and then having good water containers. This here is a Flaska, an amazing brand, glass. Again, you buy it once, this will last you forever. And just making smart choices. And, when you're going out for the day, just take a bottle with you. It could be perceived as inconvenient initially, but once you get into a rhythm, inconvenience goes once habits are created, right? Once we know what we need to do. So the first thing is fixing our external environment. There's a lot to do there, because, again, we talk about these chronic exposures over years and years and years. If we don't stop that coming in, there's no point doing the whole detox thing, because it's like, okay, I'm detoxing, and then, it's coming back in. So that's probably the biggest thing you can do. And that alone, without doing any detox, is going to definitely give you an energy boost. Not being connected to your smart technology all day, give you an energy boost. Drinking better water, energy boost. Eating better food, energy boost. So all of those things already will make you feel better. Going back to EMFs, a big one. Do not under any circumstance sleep with this next to you when you're in bed. People will literally, I'm on the phone, then put it next to me into my alarm. That is the fastest way to have terrible sleep. Buy yourself an old school alarm clock. Have any smart technology out of the bedroom. The bedroom is for two things: sleep and being with your partner. That's it. No technology in the bedroom. So that's kind of the main starter pillar when it comes to detox. And I'll let you interject, but the next part will be the actual heavy lifting and getting the stuff that's been built up in us from since we were born.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, as you're speaking into this, like, all I'm running through is all the simple ways. It makes me think about the 2% of, Tony Robbins talks about. It's just the biggest shifts, or just the millimeter shifts. Just optimize 2%, 2%, 2%. And it also makes me think about, I remember reading a story once. If a plane is 1% off course, you can go like 400,000 miles away or something like that. And the importance of just doing like little adjustments, even what Adam's saying around getting the EMF protectors, or cleaning up your water, or buying the toothpaste that does not have fluoride in it, or buying the deodorant that doesn't have chemicals in it, or going for the organic shampoo instead. So there's all these small things that we can do to like basically stop the toxicity from piling up. And, something that I was smiling to myself, I thought was so interesting, the way that you're describing maintenance and then like needing to detox the what is it? What did you call it? The backlog? The backlog. You said we need to, first detox the backlog of everything from when I was born until now. And then once you do that, it's about maintenance. I love the way you described it, because that is exactly how I would describe the subconscious reprogramming work that I do. And when I help people, the work that I do is to really support people to come into full soul embodiment, so that they are connected to the truth of who they are, so that they have space and connection to authentically express themselves. And as a result, make the impact that they're here to make. Like, same missions, completely different angles. And one of the things that when I really start these deep journeys with my clients is we have to unpack the unconscious. We need to look at that backlog of unresolved shit that has been sitting in the unconscious for, from some people, a lifetime, because when someone says, okay, I'm ready to step into my soul mission, I'm ready to share my story with the world, or I'm ready, the same way that it's like, I'm ready to be healthy. I'm ready to like be vital. I'm ready to play with my children. I'm ready to be of service to the world. But why can't I? What's stopping me? And then we lift the hood. And even before we look into the physicality, just looking at mental, emotional, energetic, there are just like, all these thought patterns about why you're not enough and why, you can't have what you want to have. And then these behavioral, these habit patterns that are formed based on those beliefs that then have people going for the Coca-Cola instead of the water, that have people, staying at home or not moving their body instead of being active. Like it's all connected, as you said. And where I sit and I see, like where I operate is helping people to really look at that backlog on a more energetic and emotional and mental level, and see like what are the belief systems that they indulged, what are the stories that they're subscribed to that they now get to unsubscribe to, and what are all those, that conditioning that needs to be unlearned, it needs to be like unwound so that you can step into the fullness of who you're here to be internally, right? That's the internal world. So what I love about your share is that you're really adding that physical layer to it. And when you're saying, yeah, you got to unpack everything, I'm like, yeah, I get it, dude, because that is literally when we want to step into our mission, that you're like, okay, our body is healthy. And also like, we got to deal with all the stuff that we believe about ourselves, about why we can't, why we wouldn't, why we shouldn't, So I love that. And I could so relate to it through the lens and framework of my own work. And I also love the maintenance, because even like as I teach it, for me, maintenance is in the morning, take quiet time, like have your meditation practice. That's maintenance. Sleep your hours. If you need a certain kind of supplements, do it. If you need a mentor, hire that person that's going to support you. Go out with friends, have your daily connection. Those are all these like tiny little things. But it's like if you don't do the backlog stuff, it's like putting cream on top of shit. So, excuse my French. Yeah. So, so with all of that, would you be able to share then what is the process of clearing that backlog actually look like?
Hello, soul family. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far and feeling all the good vibes. Before we dive back in, I want to take a moment to share a special gift with you, something that is near and dear to my heart that can truly help elevate how you start and flow throughout your day. If you've been craving a deeper alignment with yourself, with your soul, your body, your mind, your energy, then I invite you to experience my Soul Alignment Meditation, a free daily practice designed to help you come back home to yourself, to your power, and to your center. In this brief but powerful meditation, you'll learn how to sync your physical, emotional, mental, and energy bodies, offering yourself the gift of soul-deep relaxation and clarity. Whether you're feeling a little off-center or simply want to lead your day from a place of grounded alignment, this practice is for you. So, if you're ready to move through your day with more ease, purpose, and connection to your truth, you can access the Soul Alignment Meditation by going to the show notes or visiting CelineDaCosta.com/Soul Alignment Meditation. It's completely free and designed for anyone who's ready to lead their life from the heart and soul. I can't wait for you to experience this. Now, let's get back into today's episode.
I love it. And before I jump into that, what I would also say is, when I take people through my program, I also get them to look at the subconscious beliefs and programmings, because I feel that is part of the process of how they got to where they are. So, for example, if I lack self-love or I don't believe in oneself, then I just go and grab the crap food and eat it to indulge. You see what I'm saying? You see how certain patterns on how we feel and think about ourselves. So the work you do is super important. It's the yin and yang. It's the spiritual, physical. It all blends in together. So I love that. Okay, so that's the foundational side of things, right? Just fixing like your external environment. But then we have this backlog of toxicity that we need to remove. So the overarching principle here is about our terrain. So for those who like to dive into conspiracies and alternative health movements, there's this narrative of germ theory versus terrain theory, and which one is right. Now, I'm not going to debate which one is or isn't right, but they're different theories created by different individuals hundreds of years ago, and the more prominent one that ended up taking hold was germ theory. Like, we sneeze and there's a germ in the air, and then if you breathe it in, you get sick. In terms of detox, I subscribe to the terrain theory, and that is this: your terrain, your internal terrain, determines your susceptibility to disease. So as I said, if your external terrain is full of shit, at some point it's going to end up in your internal terrain. So our internal terrain determines our susceptibility towards disease. So if we are congested with all of these toxins, the likelihood is we're not going to flourish and be healthy. So what we need to do is to rebalance the terrain of the body, clean it out, bring it back to its set point. The body's always looking to go back to its set point, but we need to give it help. So when we do all these detoxes, we're removing the congestion and bringing the body back to balance. So when we start to accumulate these toxins, the body is always trying to protect us. This is the body, even though we get, so symptoms are just the body saying, hey, listen, I need, you got to come fix this, right? But the modern medical model is, we get, hey, symptom, and then the doctor's like, just take this pill, and then that symptom, that person, that little thing will be quiet, right? It doesn't address the root cause of why your body's saying, hey, please look at this. So when we're going and looking at the root cause of what's going on, we're going to address that symptom. So what we really need to do is to acknowledge the body is always trying to protect us. It first gives us symptoms. And then as we start to accumulate these toxins, the body then starts to very cleverly siphon off toxins into storage. So there's kind of three layers of how toxins get into the body. Firstly, toxins land in the blood. So you eat foods, you rub things on your skin, you breathe things in. It will always land in the blood. Now, when things are in the blood, that is a very dangerous position for our health. Now, our bodies, again, intuitively would rather survive than thrive. So it's like, right, we need to get these toxins out of the blood ASAP. So the first protocol is these toxins will then be siphoned away into fat tissue. So chemicals, heavy metals, they're lipophilic, which means they're fat attracted. So they will store themselves in fat tissue. Now, as we continue to accumulate toxins, then we go into the next layer of storage, which is our organs. So toxins will accumulate in our organs. Now, when it gets to that stage, the body intuitively knows how to then store these toxins away. So it starts to create things like mucoid plaque. Now, if you Google that, mucoid plaque, you'll see these black, rubbery tar-like substances that essentially accumulate in our large and small intestine over years and years and years. It's an overproduction of mucus in the intestines, and all of these other toxins just kind of accumulating into these plaques. So, but again, it's the body's protective mechanism. At least it stores it in one place. Then you look at the liver. We start to get gallstones, some in the gallbladder, and that's what we know. We think, oh, gallstones, gallbladder. Most of them are in the liver. And we have what we call these intrahepatic gallstones. These gallstones that are made of cholesterol and bile salts. So as these toxins go through the blood, they land in the liver, and then the body's like, I don't know what to do with these toxins. These are man-made chemicals that my DNA doesn't recognize them because we have the DNA of our hunter-gatherers. So when these man-made chemicals come into our liver, the liver's like, I don't know what these are, so I'm going to wrap them bile and cholesterol salts, and I'll store them for safekeeping. So the body intuitively is trying to keep us safe. But over years and years and years, we accumulate all of these different toxins that form these stones or these plaques. You obviously get kidney stones as well. The same concepts. These things store in our fat tissue, so in our visceral fat, then our organs. So then we are literally just full of crap, literally. And again, the body intuitively is keeping us functioning, keeping us alive, but we're not thriving. So just to set the scene on, okay, what do we actually need to start cleansing? So really the first port of call is, I like to start with really the basics, increasing minerals in the diet. We lack, so minerals are the spark plug of our metabolism. Like we need minerals for everything. We don't get enough minerals today. Why? Because processed food is void of minerals. So the Deliveroo's, the Uber Eats, they taste amazing. They are void of minerals. Even in organic food, we lack the amount of minerals that we'd normally get because of how we farm our crops today. Monocropping. Look at traditional farming. They still let the land lay for 1 or 2 seasons, and they change the crops, and none of that exists anymore. So we need to increase the amount of minerals because it basically fires up our metabolism. So just by adding in some trace minerals or some refined sea salt into our water, you'll see a huge boost of energy. I've got an old friend from my old life in online advertising. I met up with him about a year ago, and he's like, "So, mate, I started just having before football. He has a spoonful of a spoonful of salt, unrefined sea salt, and he goes, my energy is through the roof." And I was like, "Yeah, because you're probably void in minerals, right? Because even if you're eating healthy, we don't get enough. So we've got to make sure our minerals are up." Another thing I would start doing is taking a daily binder. So binders are negatively charged substances that go in like a heat-seeking missile and grab on to positively charged substances. Anything positively charged in the body isn't meant to be there. Chemicals, heavy metals, parasites. So taking a daily binder will do a couple of things. We talked about this 3 levels of storage. It will take out the toxins in the first layer in the blood. It will take them out straight away, because that you drink a binder, it stays in your gut. Some are nano-based, but they'll grab onto those toxins and take them out of circulation. And as you continually take them as part of a maintenance or going for a detoxification protocol, you're then jumping into layer 2, into the fat tissue. You'll start to be pulling those out of storage as well, because the body intuitively knows when there's a lack of toxins in layer 1, it will start to release toxins from layer 2. Like, the body is so intelligent. Like, what I realized is, this is a side note. I binge on Bob Proctor daily, and the takeaway I had today was just focus on the illogical. Like, we want to live in logic, and this is that, but no, like, it's 1 or 2% of what really is happening. There's so much beyond our conscious awareness, and the body's the same. The body is so intelligent. So taking daily binders every day, either on a protocol or maintenance, is super impactful. Activated charcoal, bentonite clay, zeolite, takasumi, all of them have their own individual benefits on taking certain things out of the body. So they're great for, as I said, maintenance, but something to start your detox journey. But then it's like, okay, heavy lifting. So there's actual things that we need to physically remove. These plaques, these stones, they're there. And if we don't do something, they're not going to leave, because the body is put them in safe storage. So we remove them through things like colon cleansing. So you've heard of colonics. There's loads of different ways we can cleanse the colon and essentially remove these mucoid plaques that have built up in our organs over years and years and years and years. And just as you start to remove these different plaques or stones, the way I describe it to people who I work with, we're conditioned in culture to get this quick, oh my God, I feel amazing. I said, that's not the deal. Like, if you're on board with the detox game, that's not how it works. It's a slow unraveling of the former you, or actually, because we say from birth, the you that you never knew you had. So clients will be like, oh, so like now I've got more energy. Now I'm not tired at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, cool, interesting. Or now I couldn't eat eggs, but now I can. It's a slow change, and then it's a reflection back of, wow, a year ago I couldn't do X, Y, and Z. Now I can do all these things. That's how detox works. It's no like euphoric, I'm on this high because I've just released. You might get the odd moment of that if you do like a liver flush, but it's this like you didn't notice you slowly getting on well, right? People don't know, it's all of a sudden, oh my God, I just can't eat this food anymore and I feel terrible. You don't notice it, right? You're getting unwell. It's the same thing. It's just very subtle coming out of it. So colon cleansing is really important. And the other thing I'll touch on before I hand it back is cleansing the liver. So as I said, the liver is the master controller of detox. It's responsible for over 500 different functions. And when the liver's congested, as we said, with these intrahepatic gallstones, general detox in the body takes a backseat. So the liver's not working correctly, detox doesn't work correctly, and then there's a cascade of getting more and more toxic. So we have to cleanse the liver, like everyone. There's someone called Dr. Edward Group. He owns a brand called Global Healing Solution, an amazing brand. Definitely check it out. And this guy knows his stuff. And his theory is 90% of the global population have livers functioning at 15% capacity. And the thing is with the liver, you don't know it's struggling until it starts to give you a bit of pain, right? Because it doesn't have, you don't feel it. So we all have to cleanse the liver. And even now, part of my maintenance, I do every 2 months, I'll do a liver cleanse. Again, doesn't take a lot out of my time. It's done in one night. It's very easy. Once you've done it so many times, you don't even think about it. So many ways to cleanse the liver. Castor oil packs, really good entry level. And, castor oil packs resonate more with the females because there's more of it's just promoted more by females on Instagram. It's like a little pack you put on, you go to bed with it. Very good at breaking up congestion in the liver. Then the next level is coffee enemas, a retention enema. So you can do water enemas to clear out the colon, but a coffee enema is a retention enema, not about clearing out the colon, but it will to some extent. It's about stimulating the gallbladder and liver to release bile. And bile is where once the liver processes toxins, it pushes it into bile. Bile goes into the large intestine and we poop it out. So doing retention coffee enemas, very impactful, increases glutathione by over 500%. And you feel like $1 million, honestly. You do a coffee enema, you're gonna be riding that. So that is one thing you do where you do feel good after doing it. But then the master of the show when it comes to cleansing the liver is liver flushing. So liver flushing was invented by an Ayurvedic practitioner called Andreas Moritz. And he wrote a book called The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush. This came out around 25 years ago. And essentially, it is a process of physically removing the congestion that accumulates in the liver due to the modern environment that we're living in. All of these man-made chemicals and toxins all can accumulate in the liver and essentially clog up the liver and reduce its efficiency. So what the liver flush does is it looks to remove that congestion by going through a protocol. And again, you can source it online. It's open source. We can buy the book. And essentially it's drinking olive oil and lemon juice in one go. And that stimulates the liver to purge all of this congestion and bile sludge and stones to come out of the liver, go into your small intestine, make its way through. And then the next day you literally poop out green stones, literally, to say it as it is. So that process, then essentially, we talked about the body's a self-healing mechanism. It wants to always bring itself back to balance. When we are creating a space where the liver can do its job, then it will do its job. So then it will start working at all of the things it needs to heal. And again, I talk about, logical versus, illogical and this, divine intelligence. Your body is part of divine intelligence. So it will know what to heal first. So as soon as you start cleaning out the liver and giving it the room to do its job, by divine intelligence, it will know what it needs to start working on. So people, for example, will be like, oh yeah, I used to have a lower back pain and I don't have it anymore. Or it could be anxiety. Whatever the body intuitively knows it needs to work on, it will go to work on. This last point, and then I'll hand it back. Random as hell, but when I went through my journey, I was looking to fix anxiety, digestive issues, and hormonal issues. I mean, I didn't say I had I had the testosterone levels of an 80-year-old when I was at my lowest. I mean, I was really in a bad spot. But going through this process, random things, again, I didn't sign up for. It just happened. My hair, just the thickness doubled. As in, I mean, obviously I've got quite thick hair in general. The thickness doubled. My grays reversed. Like random thing. Like, again, I'm not advocating this as in get rid of your grays by detoxing. I'm just saying what happened to me. But again, it was letting the divine intelligence of the body do what it needs to do by clearing the way, reducing the backlog, opening the channels for the body to do what it knows it needs to do. So that's just, again, just touching on a couple of things. There's so much more layers to it. Parasites, heavy metal. There's loads of layers, but just a bit of a taster. And what do we actually do in terms of getting that backlog down?
Mm-hmm. You know what's blowing my mind? I mean, I'm just listening to you talk about the physical body, and all I'm seeing is like all the parallels with the energy work and the internal, the non-tangible worlds that I operate in, because one of the things that when clients come to me and they want the answer.
Yeah.
And by that I mean they want to know, what is my soul's purpose? Why am I here? What am I meant to be doing? And so many people come to me during a transition period when they're going through, let's say, the dark night of the soul, and they're dying to themselves. And it's funny because you're saying about it's literally dying, like the old version of you is getting released, and that old identity doesn't fit them anymore, and they're stepping into a new way of operating that is in alignment to their soul's calling. But in that, like, there's this desire, there's a call from spirit that's like, I know I'm meant to be doing more. I know I'm supposed to be taking my business to the next level. My life is, I'm here to be and live more. And they can feel that in their bones, but they don't get it. And they keep asking the very wrong question, which is, but how? How do I find out what my purpose is? How? Right?
Yeah.
And what's so beautiful about your description of of detoxing your body is that it is so parallel to, quote unquote, how you actually like tap into that deeper calling and really learn how to listen to your intuition and get clarity on your next steps of what you're meant to do in your life, which is that it's not about going on a quest looking for your purpose. It's about clearing the space for divine intelligence to work through you. And, and when
100%.
I explain this to my, I actually really love this framework you've given me, because it's going to give me a better way to articulate it as well. But it's like, as we excavate the unconscious, as we look at the backlog of crap, and we, address the childhood trauma that's been keeping you small and not showing up in your work the way that, you're meant to be, or when we address those belief systems or those habit patterns that like you said, it's all connected. Like, why are you going for the cookie? And if so many times, there's so many stories that I had a client, she actually, did a beautiful testimonial on this podcast. She literally, like, a side effect of doing this work, which was basically like, it was launching her book and working on her business, her soul aligned business. But the side effect is she healed from an eating disorder because we excavated in her unconscious a pattern, a childhood pattern that had her continuously compulsively eating. And it was, we had to address it because it was affecting her business. But the side effect of that was that she was able to heal from something that has been plaguing her for decades. I had another client who, was saying, like, her relationship with her husband completely transformed. We were looking at her business, but because she was able to learn how to trust and she was able to be more in her feminine power, it automatically started to improve the way she was relating with her husband. And so to bring this back to this conversation, it's when we are excavating and we're letting go of this crap, not just that's physically in our body, but also metaphysically in our system. What I have found is that you don't have to try to understand what your purpose is. You don't have to try to understand what the next steps are that you need to be taking in the direction of your life and your business, because the answer arrives because you've made space. And just like as you're speaking into body intelligence, it's the wisdom of the soul is life will tell you. You will meet the person at a coffee shop, or you will see the bumper sticker on a car, or the fun meme on an Instagram, or you will wake up one morning and you'll be taking a shower and it will arrive. It arrives. It comes. And even I get truth bumps just speaking this out. It's not a doing. Just like you're not like, hey body, okay, now that we're clear of the backlog, please go start working on my lower back. Like, your body just knows, because that's the next natural organic step to your evolution. And the same thing goes with that internal world. So I wanted to share that because parallels are just absolutely insane. And I love hearing you talk about this from the physical.
I'll give you so again, I don't put this in my marketing, but it's fascinating. And that is this whole process of detoxification. 9 times out of 10, people who go through the process, it brings them closer, or maybe sometimes they've never had that connection with, let's call it spirit or source. Every single time. And it did for me, for sure. I remember before I went through this process, here's the thing, I'm open. I'm one to listen to people's opinions and be like, yeah, man. And I remember for my old life, if someone was spiritual or whatever, I'd be like, dude, love it, man. You do you, brother. Cool. But it wasn't me. I was like, ain't me, but you do you. And then when I went through the process, it was like I created the space for it to receive. The only way I can describe it. And when I take people through a process, and we'll do like a testimonial or a chat and do like the graduation call, they'll always be like, did you feel like, just like a connected to something bigger then? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And it's just like, because what I think it is we are pretty much water. Like, you hear like 70% water, and water's fascinating. And I could talk about water all day, but water, if you look at water in nature, has energy. Like spring water or a snowflake, and you put it under a microscope, has that beautiful pattern. Water carries frequency and energy, and we're no different. We are mainly water, and water can receive signals and emit signals. And I think when you are pre-detox, you're just murky water. Post-detox, you're clean water. So then you can receive messages in and out. So things like intuition and all of these clairvoyance and all these all of these beautiful skills and gifts that we all innately have, switch back on. So I'll be in the shower or in the gym, idea, bang, and then I'm literally like straight away, I'm like, get to my phone and make a note, right? And make sure I do it, because that's come from the ether or God or divine content, whatever you want to put a label on it. It's come to me because I've created this space. So my physical vessel is now more optimal. So then the other side, the spiritual side, can also function better. Because as we said, everything's connected. I don't think it's all about just doing the physical meat suit stuff. If you don't do any of the inner work, it's not going to work. You have to do both, 100%. So yeah, just wanted to share that, because it's something that most people experience, and they're like, some people use spiritual, but they feel there's more, that they're picking up more than they all believing or thinking differently when they go through the process.
I love that. And it brings it back even to like the Buddhist principles, like in our essential nature, we are connected, we are one, like, that oneness consciousness and all the spiritual things that we could brush up on, but we won't for today. But just to kind of give it a taster, is that when we are brought back to that clear water status, we're naturally connected. And that's what I truly believe is when I'm in that space, I'm naturally giving, I'm naturally generous, I'm naturally connected, I'm naturally loving. I don't have to try hard to be all of these things that feel good. It's who we are. We are in our nature, in our blissful state, and I've had a really incredible tantra teacher come onto the podcast. Her name is Sarita Ananda. She says that. She says, like, in our natural state, we are bliss. We are bliss. And so it's not about, we don't need, like, even what you were saying about every day you wake up and you feel good. You don't have to try to feel good. It's the default setting when we clear away everything that is interfering with that coherence, So that's what I love about it. And my last question for you, and there's like, actually, I really have a million questions, but for the sake of today's conversation, I really want to bring it back to something that I know is near and dear to a lot of our listeners, which is entrepreneurship and high performance. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier on in this conversation is that a lot of people, they try to, hack their way into higher performance, and they try to optimize everything in their life. And like you were saying, I relate to this so deeply, like podcast. And while you're the podcast, you're also like texting in between like your sets, your gym sets, like just get it all in. And one of the things that in my journey, I realized, and you can't make this stuff up. One of my ex-partners, he was like an optimization health expert. His job was to optimize health for people. And one of the things I noticed, the shadow sides that I noticed in that, is that when you're optimizing everything, number one, there's not a lot of space for fun and spontaneity and just like being and the presence, like that, that yin. And I've also noticed that optimization can sometimes become, we have the mind, the body, the emotions, spirit. And I think of them, one of the things I talk about with my audience is I think of them as a team. Like, speaking of homeostasis and being in harmony, we are our happiest when our emotional body, mental body, physical body, and spirit are all in harmony. When we're not like over there, you're getting a massage and you're thinking about work and you're stressed about a fight you had with your partner, like you're all out of balance. And homeostasis is really that like, oh, I'm fully present, I'm fully here. And what I find is sometimes this health optimization trend tends to be the mental body trying to take control of the situation and being like, I'm going to make sure that I'm as productive as I can be, and I'm as, worthy as I can be, and I'm doing everything that I need to be doing right now. And it starts to hijack quality of life. It starts to hijack, as you have alluded to, health. It starts to actually essentially be not a very healthy thing to do, even if it's satisfying and quote unquote productive short term, but long term it ain't. So as a high performer, speaking to a high performer who has an audience, we have audiences of high performers who are listening to this and value high performance. What do you have to say about health optimization and the line? And for those of us who really freaking love it, and they're like, give me my kick, give me my fix, but like how to actually live a fulfilling life with that in mind.
Yeah. I love how you tee that up, because it's so true. We get into it because we want to be the best version of ourselves, right? That's the whole deal. We want to be the best version, but it then can be quite overarching and dominating in other areas of life, right? And again, there must be, you said the yin and the yang, that there must be balance. So I'd firstly say, when it comes to detox, I'm very clear with people that I work with. It's not about being holier than thou and never eating a cupcake. That's not the deal, because that's a miserable way to live, right? If you're going out and you haven't seen a friend in a year, and you're going to a restaurant, you don't want to be like, oh shit, oh seed oils, oh god. You just want to enjoy the moment, right? So the way I and again, I position myself as this because I don't want to be seen as this like I never eat bread type, because it's not reality. It's not reality. Do I go and eat takeout food and junk food? Yes, I do. Right? I do 100%, and I enjoy it. But the difference is this: I've built a foundation in order to enjoy it. A lot of people, like, one of the biggest things I see with clients I work with, they're like, I just want to go and have to a restaurant with my family and eat the food and not have a flare up and feel crap for days, because then that impacts my business, etc. And I'm like, yeah, you can definitely do that, but you need to build the foundations, heal and seal the gut, and get a good level of foundation where you can have that flex. So I'm not saying I go and eat takeaway food every day. I don't. I choose not to. I eat healthy. I want to be healthy. But when you go through that journey, as I said, the backlogs reduce, you heal and seal the gut, you have these principles in place where you're not drinking tap water and, and putting chemicals on your skin, then you've got the flex to do that stuff, because it's important. It's important to be with community. And ultimately, just because you might go on a journey of making changes, most of the people in your environment won't, right? Like, we see this most, an entrepreneur, new friends they make are entrepreneurs, but their old friends from home, most of them ain't entrepreneurial. Most of them have a job. Most of them are happy with that life. So it's the same with health. As you go on a journey, you learn stuff. Most people that ain't going to be on that journey. So it's not about, I must be this and I can't have the cupcake and I can't. No, you can. But you have to know, once you go through a process and build up your resilience, then you can have that flex. And I certainly do have that flex. Like, I've got two friends. So when I look back at my university days, which was, my goodness, 15 plus years ago, there's two friends that we regularly still meet. We will meet up every 6 months minimum, and we'll meet up. We go for beers and burgers, and then we go and get a big ice cream dessert. We just pig out, and we're like, do you know what? Why not? Because we can, and we do it every single time, and it's okay to do it, because it's like, I'm not going to suffer from it. I know what it is. I'm aware of what is contained in those foods, and it's okay, because even if you're going to be holier than thou, you're still going to get toxins. You're still going to be exposed. You can't avoid it. It's just the world we live in. Mm-hmm. But again, I know how to mitigate it. I have daily practices like minerals and binders and, seasonal cleanses for the liver, etc. So I know how to manage it. So it's not about optimizing to that degree where you're not having fun, because then that will then manifest out in behaviors in other ways because it has to escape, right? So balance, essentially balance in everything, but you have to get your body back to a place where you can enjoy that balance, if that makes sense. Your final point on like optimization, how do we optimize? I'll give you this is a great hack. This is a great hack. Anyone can do. It's an investment, but it's a well worth investment. I talked to you earlier about water and the power of water and structuring of water. If you're interested in that, check out the work of Veda Austin on Instagram. Amazing how she will put certain words or shapes next to water, and the water will then shape itself into that image, and she frees. It's just it will blow your mind. Anyway, so there's power in water, and there is a device called an analemma wand. Analemma wand, and these guys spent 13 years structuring, putting energy into this. They call it the mother water, and they basically sell these wands, quartz crystal. I got Will to buy one of these, and he loves them. Quartz crystal, and inside the wand is this water that is highly structured. And when you put this wand in water and you stir it, it's like a seed, and it will basically, the water in the glass will take on the energy of the water in the wand, and you'll drink the water, and it tastes amazing. It tastes smooth, and it has so many health benefits of improving energy, improving gut health. I recently had the CEO, Mario Branovic, on my podcast, and they've done loads of human studies to show the benefits of having this life force water. So that, again, for those who want the hacks, and here's the deal: you buy the wand, it never dies, it never runs out of batteries, it's forever. Like the only time it won't last is if you break it. It's such a good investment, and the amount of people who like entrepreneurs who I'm like, buy the wand, and like, oh, so because again the word wand is it's magic. I was like, just buy the wands, just buy it, and then let me know. And then a couple of days later, it's like, whoa, are you serious? I'm like, yes, powerful. So that's a hack for anyone who wants to, something easy, accessible, that up levels your performance.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love that you actually gave us a hack that works. And as you were saying that, I remember you telling me about the wand, and I forgot. So I have to go and buy the wand. Wow, this is super beautiful. Yeah. And I think like what really strikes me from what you're sharing in this last one is the importance of building a strong foundation. And again, such a beautiful parallel to the work that I do as well. Because I remember even in the beginning of my journey being so impatient, like, the metaphorical, I want to eat the cup, but I want to eat the cupcake, the metaphorical, but I want to grow my business in this way, the metaphorical, but I want to move this fast, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want it, and I want it, and I want it. And in our culture where we've been just indoctrinated with instant gratification, we've forgotten to learn how to really build things strong brick by brick. And that's something that when I realized that when we build things, or we're trying to build things from a weak foundation, it's like a deck of cards, and it's just the next time there's an event, next time there's something wrong, the next time there's a health crisis, everything just comes tumbling down. And the importance of building, taking the time. And I don't even like to call it like making the sacrifice, because it's not a sacrifice. You're literally like doing something extremely good for yourself. But I guess maybe to say like making the compromise that short term, yes, you're going to need to detox, maybe stay away from the cupcake for just a little bit, just while you're like rebuilding your gut. And yes, it's uncomfortable to do the liver flush. Yes, it's icky. Yes. Ew, stones in your poop. And I even think about, I recently did a stool test. I'm like, ew, I have to like deal with poop. And it's like, oh God, if you want to be a mother, Celine, just deal with it. Like, it's just for your health, and just overcoming that resistance and those internal blocks that we may have in the name of doing the most possible loving things for ourselves and for others, which is to take the best possible care of ourselves, build a strong foundation, and like take the time, like do the work, roll up your sleeves, do the detox, do the roadblocks. Why do I keep the backlog? Like, take care of the backlog. You do it once. It's annoying. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. A lot of stuff is going to come up. But if you do it once, you're setting yourself up for your freaking life. And I can, even as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about my investment portfolio. I'm thinking about like certain decisions that I made years ago so that I could be comfortable today. So I can be comfortable 10 years from now. So my children that are not yet born, but I know that like I'm setting up the foundations for generations after me. So if we can have the discipline, the devotion to really like show up and set these solid foundations for our health, the payoff is that we get to live really healthy lives, really long lives. We get to show up for the people that we love. We get to create an impact. We get to play, run around in the grass, like whatever the freak you like to do on your free time, you get to do it and feel good about it. And I think the biggest payoff of them all is you get to feel good inside of your body. I like that's, forget all the stuff you'll accomplish. There is nothing that is comparable to waking up every day and feeling freaking good inside of yourself. Right?
100%. And like you were saying, the lady you spoke to, our default setting is bliss. You know, our default setting for our body is good, epic health. That's what your body is constantly trying to bring you back to.
Yeah.
And when you cleanse the body, you aid it in that process. Then you wake up refreshed. You wake up with energy. You feel good, like not only physically, mentally. And that, again, we also talked about the 1 or 2%. If you woke up feeling crap versus feeling good every single day, it's a slight change in, it's just my mood. But you project that one out a year down the line and see how much you accomplish.
Yeah.
Feeling
your
good.
Whole life. Your whole life. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh. I love this conversation. This was so rich. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. But for the sake of today's episode, we're going to start to wrap things up here. So now that we have gone through the deep rabbit hole, Adam, to wrap things up, if we go back to today's topic of conversation, which is how to live healthy in a modern world, if there's any final thoughts, any final shares that you would like to give to those who are listening? And also, how do we find you? How do we learn more about you for people who are like, yes, please, I would like to go further down this rabbit hole than this conversation.
Yeah.
Please let us know how we can go. I know you have a program that you take people through. So yes, tell us how we can find you and learn more from you.
Awesome. I think the final takeaway message is just value your health as one of the main things or priorities in your life. Alongside, here's the thing, even if you've got children or family, you cannot serve your children, your community, if you're not feeling good. Like, it's so simple. And I think sometimes we feel that we have to put ourselves last. No, you have to, when you put yourself and your health first, then you can serve so powerfully your family, your friends, your community. And ultimately, they want the best version of you. And the best version of you comes from doing, as you said, Celine, the inner work, doing the physical meat soup work, right? So really prioritize that, because again, in our culture, we don't prioritize our health. We prioritize being efficient and optimizing and, all of that sort of stuff. So if you want to get in touch with me, my Instagram handle is @idealdayadam. Regularly posting. I feel pretty good content on detox and trying to explain to people what it's about and demystifying detox, because again, some people before listening to this conversation might thought, isn't just detox like juicing? And you can see now there's so much more, right? So shedding light on that. I have my own podcast called The Ideal Day Podcast, a bit more wide ranging in terms of topics. It's all the stuff I love, which is detox, but it's also mindset and it's also overall health. So I bring people on there to share their stories and their messages as well. And finally, yes, I do have a program called the Detox Blueprint. So I think we're going to leave a link for anyone who's curious about having a conversation with my sales team on that. So we'll leave that in the show notes as well. For anyone who's curious, they can book in a call there. And yeah, that, as I said, that process, as I said, is taking entrepreneurs and business owners through that process of removing the backlog to get back to your set point. So then you can just take off in whatever you want to do. So there we go.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And yes, to anyone who's listening and you're interested in Adam's program, you want to speak to someone on his team, we will be leaving the link to go ahead and book that right in the show notes. Highly recommend. Like I said, this man has a wealth of information around this topic, and I've just been so blessed to get to meet him and also to share him with you. So thank you, Adam, so much for coming on here, for just like blasting us in the best possible way with all of this super valuable and practical information. Anyone who knows me, they know I operate highly in the spiritual realms, but man, I love me some practical magic. So thank you so much for coming on today. And yeah, for anyone who's listening, if you loved today, don't be shy. Screenshot it, tag me and Adam. Like, let us know what you loved about today's episode and how it's going with your health journey. All right, sending you all so much love. Thank you, Adam. And until next time.
Thank you, beautiful humans, for tuning into today's episode of It's Not What You Think. If you loved what you received today, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, as it helps us reach even more amazing listeners like you. If we aren't already connected on social media, come receive even more tips and inspiration by following me on Instagram at Celine DaCosta or visiting my website at CelineDaCosta.com. After listening to this episode, I invite you to take a few moments to reflect. What stood out to you? What were your key takeaways or breakthroughs? And if there was one action step you could take from this, what would it be? Thank you again for joining me on this journey. I'm sending you so much love, and I can't wait to connect in the next episode. Until then, keep sharing your unique gifts and living out your most magical life.